Alright, welcome to the next lesson where we're going to be learning the tools, the guidelines, and the frameworks of mind to attracting any woman that you want. Today's lesson I have titled, Getting Her from Flaky to Committed. Now, this lesson is really important because it's not necessarily something that is like a form of common knowledge. You know, getting a woman nowadays requires a little bit extra effort, and the reason why that is because we live in an age of easy access to other people. Social media has laid the foundation of instant communication, and what I'm kind of seeing now as almost like a pattern is that women are almost being deliberate in their process of being flaky. I've even had scenarios where guys have told me, well, you know what, I got her number, I went out in person, I got her number online or whatever it was, and she gave it to me, but the next day I'll text her and she doesn't text back, or she's not responding to my messages in a timely manner. Maybe she'll respond once a day or something like that, and I can see where the state of confusion is coming because in the olden days, if a woman gave you her number, she legitimately wanted you to call her and wanted you to arrange, just a casual get-together or a date or whatever the circumstance was. Nowadays, it's really different. If a woman gives you her number, it's more of like a 60-40 chance that she'll text you back, and it's pretty insane, and it's just another dynamic that we're gonna have to adjust to. So I put together this little almost like this little formula to getting her from flaky to more of a committed approach. And I'm not necessarily saying that you want to make this a woman a girlfriend. You just want to get her out of being flaky, and it's really important that you're able to do this because you'll have more success, and the more success that you're going to have with this, it's going to ultimately build up your confidence. Right? Step by step we get ahead, but not necessarily in fast spurts. So with all that being said, I have the question, so then you're probably asking, well, okay, well then how can I get her from stop being, real flaky to actually giving me a shot? So I kind of want to go over a little bit of science first before I really get into it. And, I was reading this study, study out of Britain, actually, I think it was the University of Wales, I believe, and it was a sociologist study. And what this study came to show was it was over, I believe it was 300 different women, and from these women, they were demonstrating what it was that triggered them to want to date someone. What was it that triggered? What was it that a man gave off that triggered a woman to want to, give him the time of day? And, things like this, you can't leave to chance. You can't be like, well, it is what it is, or, you got to actually know that there's literally triggers that you have to appeal to in a woman that, that you must set off significantly in order for her to stop being flaky with you. So what the studies were showing that, it was the man who was able to release more of these, well, the science behind it was women found that the guys were able to display more signs of dominance and signs of rapport, ease of communication, basically, but yet still had their, a strong sense of masculinity to them. And these signs were releasing chemicals. Right? So there's two major chemicals that are released in a woman when she's displaying affection or attraction, and these are some crazy chemicals. I'm not even going to try to say them, but you can Google it. The two chemicals that women release, and in these chemicals, one is for helps with focus. And so it helps them. That's why when a woman's generally talking to a man that she really likes, she's just solely, generally speaking, she's solely all about that one man. It increases the focus, and it increases the hormonal produce. So one increases her focus and the other increases the amount of hormones she produces. So, if you're able to appeal with, with the triggers, you're able to get more of these chemicals rushing through her mind, the more you're going to be isolated, right? The key to dating in the modern age is isolating yourself from the pack. So if you can know what her style of attachment is, you'll be able to set off her triggers more and more, releasing more of these chemicals in her brain. Now, there's another chemical. It's called oxytocin. That's released when a bond is formed. So when you're releasing these two chemicals to help her focus, on you and help her and making her more hormonal, it's going to lead to more production of oxytocin. So that means she's going to form a stronger connection with you. So again, you're setting off these chemical reactions. And this is just some of the science behind it. And so I just wanted to clear that up before we actually get into attachment styles. So now that leads me to another study from psychologists out of California, showing that, and actually there was even a book on this, I'm trying to remember. I'm sure it'll come to me in a minute here. Well, what this study shows is that there's 4 main attachment styles. So whether you're going to court looking for a girlfriend, you have to know which style the woman you're talking to is. So the 4 styles, we'll start with, one of the biggest ones is fear. This attachment of fear just shows that a woman's not going to really give you a whole lot of time a day because she is really, she's scared. Maybe she had a really bad relationship in the past and, didn't end well for her. So now she's real fearful, making her real hesitant to moving forward with you. And you kind of want to, avoid these types at first, because if she's real, they'll display some attraction because, human beings, we still like attention. So she'll display, signs of flirtation, but ultimately you might feel like you're being stringed along or you're getting nowhere with her because she's not going to let you in because maybe of a bad experience. And, the fact that she's real fearful, you have to trigger and you have to adapt your style to her method of attachment. And you have to really appeal to her, I should say, emotionally. So if it was a bad relationship in the past, you have to give her comfort and you have to encourage her without judgment that it's okay to move on. You have to, and they're not timid women. They're still going to be outgoing. It's just when it gets to the conversations of, okay, what's next for us, that's when it's a little gray and she prefers to be dismissive of it and change the subject. No, you really got to appeal to her emotions on this. And you can bring it up slowly over time, but now that you know that this is her attachment style, you're going to have to set off triggers of emotional ease. So just let her know that she's safe with you. Don't, obviously for this type of woman, you take her out, you don't want to talk to other women, look like a player. You don't want to, you want to make it look more of, you want it to appear more exclusive. And if you make it appear to be more exclusive and you make it appear and you genuinely want to appeal to her emotions, then she's gonna slowly but surely let you in. But she's gonna have to come over this process herself. And if it takes too long, time is very valuable. And if you legitimately feel that she just is not in a good place, then, to some degree you wanna try to take her out of that, but to another degree, you don't wanna waste your time either. At that point, you should move on. So only you can determine how that circumstance is going to play out, but you just know for that type of attachment, that's how you're going to want to appeal to it to give yourself the best chance. The other attachment style is anxious. It's a little similar to fear, but what anxious is almost like a premature attachment style. So these women, what the science was showing was that these women have low self-esteem. And if they have low self-esteem, that means they're gonna clean themselves to basically the first man that really shows them the time of day. And this is really unhealthy because it skips the process of chemistry building. You know, you got to build that rapport. You got to, you know, on those first couple dates, that's when you really understand if there's a connection between the two of you. That's a healthy time process. These women will generally become obsessive more quickly, and they'll be more aggressive if things don't go their way. And it's up to you if you want to try to appeal to this type of woman. But you know, you kind of want to take the same approach if you know you really like her and you notice that the attraction was a little too quick. You know, she became a little too attached too quickly. And if you still want to give it a shot, then appeal to her by communicating openly. You know, hey, you know what? I noticed that you know you're moving a little fast. Is there a reason as to why? Do you feel that we just have a lot in common right away, or whatever reason? You just want to be as open with your lines of communication as possible. That way you don't feel uneasy, and that way you're not making her feel you know, confused. Be open with communication. So if you notice this attachment style, you're going to want to be very open on communication and try to pinpoint what it is that is leading to this escalation so quickly. So be very open with communication. Now, the other point, it's actually really interesting too, is you're going to see that these all kind of have a common denominator, which is good because it's going to make it easier to point out the different attachment styles. And the next one is going to be dismissive. And this one's almost one of the most common ones. And what a dismissive woman is basically she will show you signs of affection. She's going to show you that she likes you just enough to bring you in a little bit closer to her comfort zone. But once you pass her comfort zone, you know, she'll let you in a little bit, you're in her comfort zone. But once you start to pass the comfort zone and you want to try to take things to the next level, then she's going to react harshly, and she's going to maybe not return your calls. Maybe things got a little hot and heavy after one of the dates, and she just wasn't ready for it to go that quick. You're going to notice maybe she's not going to text you back the next time, or she's just gonna feel in a place of confusion because generally these women don't really know what they want necessarily. They just want to feel a certain way for them to want to connect with you, and they're just generally, you know, about their business. They're living their life, you know, and if they see you, then great. If not, then you know that really doesn't bother them. They're more really introverted. They're stuck in their ways, and to really get them out of their shell, it's going to take a lot of work. So if you really do like this woman and you do want to put in the work, you're going to have to appeal to her triggers, and you're going to have to match her style of affection. Not 100%, because a woman still has to know that you are attracted to her. But generally speaking, for dismissive, you want to match this style apples to apples. If she, you know, is not free, you know, and she's like, well, you know what, I can't this day. Okay. She has to know that you yourself are a busy guy and you're living your life, you know, to become the best version of yourself. You have your goals you're accomplishing, and, you know, you have your own schedule you have to follow. And as does she. So when you guys are able to meet, that's when you want to be, again, you want to open those lines of communication, but you want to appeal to her interest as much as possible. For dismissive women, you want to relate to them. So if she's very about politics or health, be an advocate for those things as well, and actually share some information with her. Like, oh, well, you know, I just read, you know, did you know the health industry is, you know, taking this step in this new program or politics or whatever it is. just try to appeal with little tidbits of gold that you happen to come across. You want to appeal to her psyche and her intellect, and the only way to do that with dismissive women is to get her out of that shell. You can only get people out of their shell when you can relate to them the most. Again, these are the most common because they can show you, that they like you just enough to bring you to their comfort zone, but to really know what is the line and the barrier for that comfort zone, it's really hard to read. So the best approach to that is you want to relate to her as much as possible and be open with the lines of communication. But ultimately, if it continues, again, these three, for the most part, you want to kind of avoid, because you can end up wasting your time. And the fourth attachment style is secure, and this one's where you want to be. A secure woman takes the healthy approach in rapport, the appropriate time. She's a very confident woman. She has goals, she has values, she's very ambitious, nurturing. She's very comfortable with herself, and she's not gonna rely on her happiness in a man, and she's not gonna expect you to be dependent on her as well. Secure women know the natural order to the process. But don't get me wrong though, you still have to somewhat seduce the secure type of woman, because in the world we live in today, there is an abundance of options. So you must isolate yourself, and apart from appealing to the mating signals, which we go over in another lesson, you really want to know that you have to release these chemical triggers in her mind by really understanding what her style is. So secure, you guys are comfortable with each other, and you can release this oxytocin whether you guys are at the movies, you put your arm over her, you guys are holding hands, this touch, this bond, you guys are cuddling, intimacy. These are all forms of releasing these chemicals, the oxytocin, to help her focus and to raise her hormonal level. That's how you want to approach a woman who's real flaky to being more committed. You just gotta adapt to her attachment style, and you want to really know how to trigger these chemical releases. Okay, so that basically covers this lesson. I didn't want that to sound very monogamous. It was kind of a lot to go over. Just thought it was really important that that this information really isn't out there. You just kind of think, well, she's either crazy or she's cool. We generally categorize women into two categories: crazy or cool. And most often, more times than not, the cool ones, after a while you might think, man, she's crazy. Or the crazy one, you thought initially, you might find rapport being built faster with this one. See, you're just kind of like, okay, what's going on there? I only got these two options. Well, really, if you could have identified that crazy was more of a dismissive attachment style, and this cool one was more of a fear attachment style, women are going to show you some attraction to bring you into their comfort zone. Now, it's in that comfort zone where you got to identify, okay, she's more anxious, she's more fearful, she's more dismissive, and you have to adapt your triggers to each one of those. And that's what I'm saying, where it goes into, you might think she's cool, and it's in that pool that you have to understand what her attachment is. So ultimately, it comes down to what it is that you want out of this whole process. If you're looking to make a sustainable relationship, then you might want to take a little bit of time to adjust your approach, adapt to her attachment style. If you're just looking, for sex, then it really doesn't matter, and you can, just show just enough to get whatever it is that you want, and to move on with your life. So it really just depends. You're gonna adapt this to your own personal style, to your own personal goals. So that does conclude this lesson. You're staying positive, guys. You're taking tons of notes, leaving your notes on the side here, and I'll go ahead and see you guys on the next lesson.